I grew up swimming. I was a swimmer for a really long time, and I think if anyone who's listening swam remembers, sort of 5 a.m. trainings and staring at a line on the bottom of a pool for 3 hours, you find like this flow or this meditative state that you can get into. And when I found cycling, it gave me that sort of active meditation back and that opportunity to sort of forget about whatever's going on in your life and just be present in the space around you and see, spectacular things. Like I was cycling on Wednesday and I saw it's spring at the moment and there's this beautiful tree full of flowers. And as I cycled by, I was like, holy shit, that tree's beautiful, like out loud. In 2016, I took part in the Transamerica bike race, which is a race from Oregon to Virginia, and it's about 4,450 miles or something like that. I spent most of my childhood camping in Northern Ontario and doing week-long, month-long canoe trips. And I think when you grow up learning how to sort of just survive and get by outside and how to make campfires and what leaves are edible and not edible, that the kind of ground that you're on, that you're not going to get soaked overnight if it rains, little things like that. I mean, it sounds strange, but knowing all of that does become a bit of an advantage in this situation because I'm so confident and comfortable being outside that it never really phases me because I've just done it so many times. I don't really think about it. It's just roll everything out, climb in, and pull the drawstring on my bivvy and go to sleep. So I always ride down this road and I've always seen this sign saying that there's local honey, and you can see that there's fruit orchards in here. I think they grow plums. And actually just around the corner from here is where I pick all my damsons, the wild damsons that I make gin with. So I'm currently training to do the TransAtlanticWay, and that race is 1,550 miles, I believe. The big lesson I had going into Trans Am is I really thought like I needed to be training absolutely every day. In the days leading up to the event, I was either cycling 100 or 200K a day, like 5 days a week. So I had massively overtrained myself. And I think now stepping back from that, well, it did get me into a position where I was able to compete in that event. It's not necessarily the best way to train for an endurance event. I focus much more on time on the bike rather than how far I actually go. I very rarely care what my mileage is. So I make sure I'm doing at least, 4 or 5 hours, 3 days in a row, and then have like a day off and then start doing it again. And that's sort of the training that I've been doing for this. So we'll see if that works. You're always gonna have things that pop up that are unexpected. And I think that is, like, I do enjoy that. Like, I've always enjoyed problem solving in general. Like, in school we used to get these, if Johnny did this and Sally did that, like, how do we solve this problem? I loved those things in math class. So I think I'm awful at math, but I loved like that side of trying to fix a problem or interesting ways to identify what the issue is and a solution. And I think through endurance cycling, those kinds of challenges come up a lot. Like, even if I get to this town, there's food here, but if I go to that town, there's somewhere I can sleep inside. Like, what's the better option for me and what will help me to get ahead in this event? The tactics that you're playing are so different than you would if you were doing a crit. Like in a crit, you know who's around you, you can see who's fatiguing, you can hear them breathing. In this kind of event, you have no idea what your competition's going through. You hear rumors here and there from other people, but you don't know if you make this decision how it'll impact your race or not. Yeah, I think it's just learning to be adaptive and just, keep focused on why you're there and what you're trying to achieve, and just try to make good calls around whatever scenarios popped up. So the major challenge is finding food, because nobody's handing you bottles of water, or you don't have a feed station set up where there's a bunch of snacks that you can grab. You're literally kind of riding along and you're like, oh, that gas station might have something, and ducking in and sort of supermarket grab to find the most efficient food to help your body keep going. You just eat constantly. I mean, if you think about if you were going to do a 100-mile bike ride as a sportive, like Ride London, how much you eat during those kinds of events. Now imagine you're doing double that distance and you're doing it for 9-10 days. And there's no one handing you the food. So I think that's always a really major challenge. The other thing is just making sure that your kit is holding up. I think if you're wearing one pair of bib shorts for 9-10 days, you want to know that they're comfortable. Like, that's the sort of key thing as well. And you know, you're sort of washing things in sinks in the back of gas stations and sleeping in them, living in them. You're basically a hobo. And so yeah, it's just making sure that everything that you have with you is performing to how you need it to perform.